How does a national hero wake up admired and go to bed accused of murder? In June 1994, O.J. Simpson stopped being a football legend and became the center of a double homicide investigation that split America in half. The shift was instant, sudden, unsettling. From the first reports, something felt unstable. The facts existed, but certainty did not. And if you believe you already understand this case, prepare to question that confidence. Because this story begins with doubt. Before the crime, there was the image. O.J. Simpson was trusted. A Hall of Fame athlete, a media personality, a familiar face was welcomed into American homes. That image mattered because perception shapes pressure. But behind the polished exterior were reports of domestic turmoil involving Nicole Brown Simpson. Police visits, a fractured marriage, painful divorce. At first, those details seemed private. Background noise. They would soon become the center of everything, and reputation would collide with reality. June 12, 1994. Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were found dead outside her Brentwood condominium. The scene was violent, disturbing, personal. There were signs of struggle, but no eyewitness account to anchor the timeline. No simple narrative. Investigators faced a scene that looked direct, but felt complicated. Why that night? Why that location? And why did the answers begin pointing somewhere no one expected? Attention turned quickly toward O.J. Simpson, not because of fame alone, but proximity, history, and timing. Prior domestic disturbances created a familiar investigative path. But familiarity can narrow vision. Was this a clear motive or early tunnel vision? Some saw inevitability. Others saw an assumption, and before the country could agree, the case took a turn no one could have predicted. Then came the moment that changed everything. A white Ford Bronco is moving slowly across Los Angeles freeways. Live television, millions watching. This was no longer a quiet investigation. It was a spectacle. Inside the vehicle were items that fueled fear and speculation. Was this guilt unfolding in real time? Panic? Strategy? Whatever it was. The chase transformed suspicion into national obsession. After the arrest, the courtroom became the battlefield. Prosecutors believed the physical evidence was strong. Defense attorneys attacked the integrity of its collection. The focus shifted from what happened to who could be trusted. Chain of custody, police conduct, procedure. If evidence is mishandled, does truth weaken with it? That question would soon center on one object that defined the trial. A pair of gloves became the symbol of the case. One was found at the scene, one at Simpson's estate. On the surface, the link appeared devastating, but the defense challenged how they were discovered, how they were stored, how they were presented. Small procedural cracks began widening. Evidence meant to clarify instead created doubt, and doubt, once introduced, never leaves quietly. Then came DNA. In the mid-1990s, DNA carried an aura of scientific certainty. Numbers, probabilities, statistical weight. Prosecutors presented it as precision. Defense attorneys framed it as contamination. Two sides, same science, opposite meanings. Jurors were not only asked to understand biology, they were asked to trust human handling. And once trust fractures, certainty collapses. The trial became daily television. Every objection analyzed, every glance dissected. Commentary never stopped. The prosecution expected evidence to dominate. Instead, the defense reframed the narrative around reasonable doubt. Not did it happen, But can you be sure? And that reframing changed everything. Then came the courtroom demonstration. Simpson tried on the gloves. They appeared too tight. Cameras captured the tension. The phrase echoed into history. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. But was it a demonstration or theater? Conditions were debated, context questioned. In seconds, weeks of testimony were overshadowed, and perception shifted forever. Behind closed doors, jury selection had already shaped the outcome. Attorneys carefully evaluated backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Nothing was random. Meanwhile, the nation was divided along cultural and racial lines. The courtroom reflected deeper tensions. Were jurors deciding facts or responding to a broader history? Verdict day would test that question. October 3rd, 1995. Not guilty. Gasps filled courtrooms and living rooms across America. Relief for some, shock for others. The same evidence produced opposite emotional reactions. Legally finished, socially ignited, and the debate did not end, it intensified. But the story did not stop there. In civil court, the burden shifted from beyond a reasonable doubt to more likely than not. In 1997, a civil jury found Simpson liable for wrongful death. 2 trials, 2 standards, 2 outcomes. How can truth feel different in separate courtrooms? Because law measures proof, but people measure belief. The civil judgment carried financial penalties and symbolic weight. Public image deteriorated. Endorsements disappeared. Isolation replaced fame. For some, it felt like delayed accountability. For others, it deepened confusion. Was this justice in another form, or society attempting closure where the law had not? Years later, media appearances reignited outrage. A controversial publication reopened wounds. Critics saw insensitivity. Supporters called it a hypothetical expression. Once again, interpretation divided the public. Can someone ever reclaim their narrative after a case like this? Or does history decide who they remain? In 2007, Simpson was arrested again, this time for an armed robbery in Las Vegas. The sentence was lengthy, severe. Some called it poetic justice. Others questioned proportionality. It wasn't about 1994, yet it was impossible to separate the two. Does a past accusation shape future punishment? Or was this finally accountability catching up? After nearly 9 years, Simpson was granted parole in 2017. Cameras returned. Reactions split once more. Paid his debt? Or debt never paid? Time had passed, but division had not. Because when belief hardens, years do not soften it. The evidence never changed. Interpretation did. Early confidence became doubt. Doubt became certainty on opposite sides. Facts remained fixed. Meaning shifted. Why? Because human perception is never neutral, and neutrality is rare in high-profile justice. The case reshaped televised trials forever. The media turned proceedings into a daily drama. Jurors were isolated. The public was not. Expectations formed before verdicts were delivered. Can justice remain untouched when commentary never stops? Race influenced interpretation in undeniable ways. For some, the verdict represented resistance to systemic bias. For others, it symbolized accountability denied. 2 realities existed at once, and that duality is why the case still divides today. Some cases close legally, but never close psychologically. The O.J. Simpson case is one of them. 2 lives lost, 1 criminal acquittal, 1 civil liability verdict. Facts documented. beliefs divided. So the real question isn't what happened, it's why we believe what we believe about what happened. And perhaps that question is the one that keeps this case alive.